Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, my little spook lovers. If you're watching this, you probably are one of my little spook lovers. You love paranormal story time. So I have not done one of these in a really long time. I will link my paranormal story time playlist in the description along with my most recent video. I think the most recent one was, I want to say, so today I'm filming, I think it's August 23rd. By the time you're watching this, it might be way later because I don't know, I tend to film a couple weeks in advance before the video goes live. But wait, really quick, if you're new, hi, I'm Julia. Thank you so much for coming by my channel. If you're watching this and are not subscribed, please do so, because you know what's weird is YouTube will tell you analytics and it says like over 90% of my views come from people who are not subscribed. So if you're watching this and are not, subscribe. I would love for you to become a part of my family. We do really cool videos on here, so yeah, become part of the family. I do have merch available as well, so that is linked in the description box as well. But anyways, so the last update I think I've given you, if you're new here, I have had paranormal experiences off and on throughout my whole life. I feel like I'm somebody who I'm very sensitive to energies and just weird stuff like that. Like I call it mumbo jumbo, like mumbo jumbo stuff. If you don't believe in it, that's totally okay. I get it. My husband, actually, Jesse, he's somebody who he's kind of on the fence. He's always looking for more logical explanations, and he's always kind of just never really believed in it because he's never had anything happen to him. He didn't really start kind of like turning an ear or an eye to the paranormal world until he met me, because he started experiencing some things with me. So anyways, what I'm trying to get at is that if you don't believe in this stuff, that's okay, especially if you haven't yourself experienced anything. That's one of the hardest things in the world to do, is believe in something that you can't see or has never happened or you've never experienced, you know? So I get it. But I get some people asking me sometimes like, oh, maybe there's something like one entity that haunts you, or maybe you're being followed. I don't really think it's something like that. I think it's more just wherever I go, if something is passing by, it might get attracted to wherever I'm at, because I believe in that stuff and I have had experiences with that kind of stuff. So I know a lot of people always ask about my house too, which everything that's happened, I do kind of want to bring a medium in. I don't even know how to go about finding one where I live, but I would love to bring a medium in and just kind of see. I definitely feel like there are some energies that hang out in my house off and on, you know what I mean? But I also want to know like if they can pick up anything on me, like what, you know, I want a couple answers, because if you are a subscriber of mine, you know we've had a lot of paranormal activity throughout the years. And it hasn't just been at this house either. So anyways, I'm rambling a little bit, but the last update, things were getting really scary. Like I was feeling really dark things in my house. And okay, so I had, if you missed my video, I kind of touched on it about mental health. I had kind of a mental breakdown in February. Like it was just the worst thing I've ever been through, which sounds crazy, but there was also a lot of paranormal stuff going on too, and my level of fear was just so high that it had never been that high before. And now after going through everything, I don't really have a lot of fear at all about a spiritual realm or anything like that. Like I've experienced so many things that I don't know if I'm going to talk about them in a video one day or not, because A, like some of the memories are really foggy, which is weird, and B, I don't know if I'm ready to like be that out there yet, you know, like, because again, this kind of topic is very, I don't know, but one thing I will say, and I will put a picture up for you guys, there was a time while I was really going through the gigs, I was getting bruises all throughout the back of my legs. It was really weird. It was almost like as if looked like somebody was throwing stones at the back of my legs. I will insert a picture now. My psychiatrist I was working with at the time, he did say, he's like, the only medical explanation I can possibly think is maybe you have a platelet issue. But I was taking iron supplements. They did do a lot of lab work on me, and they just said like I was low in vitamin D, and then they did have me taking magnesium as well. But that was really scary. Like, I don't know, there could be a medical explanation, there could be a mumbo jumbo explanation. I don't really know. I can tell you at the time that I had those bruises, that was the lowest, I think, one of the lowest times in my entire life. And they do say on the mumbo jumbo side, they do say that when you are low and vibrating very low, sometimes that can attract very ominous and not so good energies. It's so funny, before everything that's happened this year, I really believed in demons. I thought they were real, like, and I don't know, they could be. I don't know, I still believe in angels, and I do kind of think, you know, if you believe in one, there's got to be a yin and a yang, you know, but I don't think they're evenly balanced. I will say that. My therapist that I see, she said something really awesome the other day, and she said good and evil is not a balanced yin yang. Good is way more powerful than evil. And I will say that, like, after this experience, like, that's why I don't really have a lot of fear anymore, which fear does feed anything negative. Like, if there is anything negative around, it's gonna feed off fear. So anyways, I truly don't know. I could have had, you know, an imbalance of hormones, or there could be a medical explanation. It probably is that, but again, that time of my life was really weird. And again, there was no physical explanation. Like, people were like, what the heck? Like, what are you doing? How are you getting these bruises? And I would wake up with them. It was really, really weird. I would just wake up with them. So anyways, on to the current paranormal activity that's happened. There's really only been a lot of electrical activity. It's been really, really weird, which I've always been somebody who, I don't know, electronics are weird with me. So like, for example, Jesse and I will each get the same exact phone at the same exact time, and mine will just go haywire. Or sometimes, and again, it's kind of like the paranormal activity. It's not all the time, but sometimes, you know, I'll be trying to do something on the TV and it won't respond, and Jesse will grab the remote and it'll work just fine. That's happened a lot of times. I did have an experience again during my, like, when I was really like not okay, but I was sitting next to a radio and it just went staticky, and then it just stopped working. And I don't know, there could be, again, a logical explanation for that, but I was like, oh my gosh. Jesse calls it, he jokes, it's like he calls it my ESPN, and I'm like, oh my god, my ESPN. I don't know, I'm really fascinated about that kind of stuff, like, because scientifically, like, this is a fact. Every living thing and being, even not living things like cans, have an electrical charge. They have a vibration, you know what I mean? And you can measure that on devices and stuff. So I don't know if some people's, you know, vibrations, like if you're really high or really low, can mess with, you know, electronic things. I don't know, but my Xbox has just been like turning on by itself like it's never done before. So again, if you are not new to the YouTube fam, you know I have an Xbox. Jesse and I each have our own Xboxes, but mine turns on by itself, usually correlating with paranormal activity. So when there's like weird things going on in the house, that's when usually the Xbox will turn on and off. Jesse is an IT guy. Jesse has checked this out. He does say, he's like, I honestly cannot find a logical explanation for why it turns on and off. It's not like it auto updates. It's not like it has anything like that. You know, when it has turned on by itself, Jesse has turned on the TV and looked through the Xbox to see if there's just, he cannot find any logical explanation. He did find an article that says that sometimes the sensor, because it is a touch sensor, that, you know, dust particles or food particles can turn it on. So that's the only logical explanation I have for it. But I find it weird that it'll go months and months and months without doing anything, and then all of a sudden, like the other day, it turned on 6 times by itself. I kid you not. And it's turned itself off one time. It's usually only turns itself on, but it turned itself off one time. It was really, really weird. So I'll tell you a few stories, specific stories about it. One, my mom was over one day a couple months ago, or maybe it was like maybe a month and a half ago. But I was telling her about it, how like mom, oh, actually, let me tell you the story I was telling her. So when Mercury went into retrograde a couple months ago, it's funny. So I had my little mental breakdown in February when Mercury went into retrograde. And then there was another time when it went into retrograde again. And I didn't know this until afterwards. So there was one day where I was just feeling really depressed all of a sudden. Like it started a depression for me. Again, there could be so many other things involved. There's biochemistry involved, you know what I mean? Like, you know, chemicals in your brain balancing. There's also what's going on in the world right now, you know what I mean? So I'm not just saying it was just that, but I found it ironic that the day that I felt just the cloud come over, it was really weird. I was at my mom's house and all of a sudden I was just like, I felt like something was off in the world. It was really weird and I just felt down and sad. And anyways, I was just really sad out of nowhere. And I guess, again, not out of nowhere, was having a really hard time and have been having a hard time with this pandemic stuff, like many of you watching, I'm sure. But there was a night where Jesse was putting Penelope to bed, and so I was by myself and I just felt like crying, like that night. And I actually happened to walk out in the living room and the Xbox was turned on and I was like, are you kidding me? Like that was kind of the cherry on top, where that was actually kind of the start of the Xbox turning on for this phase of time. And then I actually ended up looking up, why am I feeling weird? And I saw an article that said, oh, Mercury went into retrograde today and it might be affecting a lot of people. And then that's when I found out it had gone into retrograde in February too. Anyways, I'm rambling a little bit. Sorry, I could talk about this kind of stuff for hours, but I was telling her that story and how seeing that light was just like the cherry on top. Like, oh my gosh, like what? Like I was just, I don't know, it was just the cherry on top of that day. And while I was talking about it, or was it after? I think it was after I had talked about it, the Xbox turned on by itself. Like my mom and I both saw it and it was just like, oh gosh. And so that's actually happened a couple times. Another time, there was one morning where I was actually Marco Poloing my little cousins. It's just basically an app where you video record and send videos back and forth. It's really, really cool. But there was an orb actually that showed on the screen and it was on camera, and if I can screen record it, I will put it up for you guys. But I don't know, again, logical explanation, it could have been a speck of dust, you know, but it didn't look like that, which is funny because right before I had my little, you guys were seeing orbs in a lot of my videos. And so for me, how I'm looking at these is I think that it's somebody, a relative of mine who has passed away, who kind of is coming around and just saying like, hey, I'm here with you, you know, I'm making sure that your space stays light, because recently I have not felt scared, and that's usually an indicator for me if it's good or bad. If I feel scared, I'm like, oof, it's not very good. But I have not felt scared at all. It's more just been like somebody's here with me, like, so, I don't know, it does feel familiar to me. So I have an uncle who passed away, I have a grandpa and a great grandma, and I think it's one of the three of them. I don't know. Here I'm gonna ramble some more, but I've also heard arguments saying that, you know, loved ones don't come back. If there is something messing with you, it's not good. I personally don't believe that. I personally believe that loved ones will come back and take care of you when you need it, and they will make sure that you're not alone, and God will allow them to just come visit you or be with you when you need it. I don't know. I still am just kind of like, I don't know exactly, but I do believe that good can come through. So anyways, back to the story. I was Marco Poloing and we saw what we thought was an orb, and then the Xbox turned on by itself. So, you know, turned it off. And then that day, Penelope and I were eating lunch, and she was in her high chair, and Jesse was just about to get off of work. He's still working from home, which is really cool. But it was almost time for him to get off of work, and he was gonna come out of a hallway. Pretend I'm Penelope and you guys are me, like you're facing me and I'm Penelope. So she's eating or whatever and I'm feeding and we're eating together, and all of a sudden she looks up where Jesse usually comes out from work, towards our hallway, and she looked as if he was there, and I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, daddy's off. And I turned around and he wasn't there. And I was like, that is so weird. Like, she stopped what she was doing and looked up and there was nothing there. So then it was really weird. She looked over to her left side, like as if there was somebody standing there. She was kind of just staring and like looking up and down. It was the weirdest thing. And then I look over and we have 3 dogs. One of them is very, 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 very sensitive to things. She's like our sensitive dog. She's so cool. I feel like she would make a really good companion dog if she were to get trained. But anyways, her name's Roro, and she was sitting right next to Penelope, and I look over and Roro is staring at the same thing that Penelope is staring at, and I can't figure out what they're staring at. And it's not like, so we have a lot of flies in our house right now, but their eyes were not moving quick, like as if it was a bug or a fly. Because I will say that Penelope loves bugs and she loves watching them and everything. So at this point I was like, what the heck is going on? So I asked Penelope, I was like, do you see something? And she looked at me and she said, Roro? And I was like, yeah, I see you and Roro were both looking at something. And then she kind of just went back to watching the TV, and it was really, really weird. So then when Jesse did get out of work, we were back in Penelope's room and I was telling him all about this, what had happened that day. And he walks out and goes towards the living room and he's like, the Xbox is on. And I was like, no freaking way. So it seems like that really does make a difference. The more I talk about it, the more it happens. And the fact that it happened, you know, with my mom when I was bringing it up, and then it happened, and then when I was telling Jesse about it, it's just, I don't know. It's so weird. I don't know. It seems like really weird timing. And like I said, the other day, I hopped on my Instagram stories and was telling you guys about it, but it turned on by itself 6 times that day, which is ridiculous. And like, I don't know, it's just so weird. And like today, like it'll go days without turning on by itself. It's really, really weird. Also, we have one other electronic in our house that does things like this, and it's one of Penelope's toys. So it's kind of like, I'll insert a video of it going off in a little bit, but it's basically just like a little lion light up, you know, pushy toy. And that thing, we have to keep it off because that thing will go off by itself a lot. And again, it really does correlate to if there's things going on. So the other day, I actually got off the phone with my Nana. My Tata is not doing so good. We don't know how much longer he has left. He actually has really bad Alzheimer's, and he's just been having lots of complications with that. And so anyways, I had gotten off the phone with her and I was about to go visit him, and her toy just started going off and it would not stop. That's never happened before. Like, it'll go off once, like as if something touches it, and then it'll stop, but it was going non-stop. It was not stopping. And I recorded it too because it was just crazy and creepy, and there was nothing near it. Like, nobody was near it, nobody was touching it. It was just going haywire. And Jesse actually, like, this was pretty cool. He was like, what if it's your Uncle Michael, like, you know, here with you, and just saying, like, you know, hey, I'm with you during this time, I'm with you during this process, and I'll be with Tata when my uncle is my Tata's son. So I don't know, again, that's why to me, I don't feel scared. So I don't think it's something threatening. So yeah, that's kind of my paranormal update in my life lately. I know this was long, it was probably really rambly, but I also know a lot of you guys do enjoy it and are like me. So if you don't like it, that's okay, but if you like it, this was for you. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. If you're not, I'm sending you an extra hug, and hopefully this helped you escape from your day, this little story. And I will catch you guys in my next video. Don't let the bed bugs bite tonight.